So next we have our vice president candidates, Alyssa, Tungul, Lindsey, and Sherry Bonilla. Alyssa, whenever you're ready. You have 1 minute.
Hi everyone, I'm Alyssa Tungul and I'm running for your vice president. Having been committed to UFC since my freshman year at SU, this club has truly become my home away from home. For me, UFC has not only enabled me to build meaningful connections with members of our community, but it has also helped me develop stronger leadership skills that will aid me in my service as your potential vice president. As a junior going into this position, I hope to assist in fostering the growing foundation of leadership in UFC, in hopes of carrying these skills and insights both into and beyond my senior year. This position is generally regarded as a more supportive role, and I hope to provide that reliable support, while also taking the initiative to create new events and opportunities for our members. It would be an honor to serve as your vice president, as I would love to give back to this amazing community that pushes me to grow as a member, as a leader, and as a friend. Thank you.
Did I just start when?
Yeah, whenever you're ready, Lindsey.
Hi, everyone. Before I continue on, I want to address the elephant in the room. No, I'm not Filipino, but yes, I want to be your vice president. UFC has brought me community, friendship, and a method of exploring my identity and learning about others' history. I don't view myself as the odd one out and don't want anyone to ever feel that way. UFC has a rich history of inclusion and acceptance, which I want to continue to promote. I have a desire to give back to the club and want to act as a force advocating for inclusivity and creating intersections through events that encourage conversations about our challenges, identity, and experiences. I'm sure many of us have had struggles at some point with who we are, and I want UFC to be a safe place for growth and exploration regardless of your cultural identity. As VP, I want to be an advocate for our members and those wanting to find a place of belonging and purpose. I was hesitant, but joined UFC through a nudge from people in this room, and I want to be that nudge for others because through our collective differences and strengths, we can build this community together. I hope to put forth my passion and desire for the organization that has welcomed me with open arms. Thank you.
Okay, so hello everyone. If we haven't met before, my name is Sherry and I'm running to be your VP. This election season for me has brought about a lot of reflection on my priorities and what I want my senior year to look like. Being on board for 2 years has shown me how difficult it can be to fulfill your role as a student and as an officer. But in the end, the reason I'm here on your laptop screen is that I can't deny the fact that being in UFC is one of the most rewarding experiences of my college life. Through this organization, I've seen myself grow as a leader and as a person, and I've developed a deeper appreciation for my Filipino heritage. As VP, I would like to be able to offer the same for you. I want this club to continue to be a space for you to share your stories, identities, and love for our culture. I want to see us become advocates for the Filipino community and learn more about the struggles and resilience of our people. If elected, I will do my best to support both the officer board and the general members so we can continue to find community and empowerment through UFC. Thank you.
Thank you to all of our candidates. So now begins the 2-minute Q&A submission. Alrighty. I'm sorry, I feel like I've been saying already after everything. That's like my go-to. So anyway, first question comes from our current VP, Michelle.
Hi, ladies. Just as everyone else, I would like to congratulate you all for running, and I'm very proud of everything that you've done and your involvement with UFC so far. The question I have is, what does support mean to you? Can you describe a time when you've received support? And what are specific examples of how you plan on providing support to the president and the rest of your board during this time of uncertainty and as you enter the new school year? I will put it in the chat.
I can start if that's okay.
Sure.
So what support means, it looks like to me, is providing people the space to really communicate with you with what their needs are, and also allowing them the space to grow into trying to understand how you can best support them and how they can support you. For me, that goes along with communicating with the other people you're working with, whether that be communicating with the board directly or communicating with our gen members. I think it's important to really individualize the conversations we are having with people to really understand how we can best support them and how they can support us, keeping in mind that everyone is different. And so that version of support will be different for everyone. I think for me, support looks like having others around me and me being confident in the fact that I believe there will be people there to support me and help me whenever I need, which means that person could be someone I could go to if I need to vent, someone to give me a hug, someone to go eat food with me, someone to tell me that I just need to stop and calm down and slow my roll. Whatever it is, I think being a supportive person and having that support being given to you in return really means being open and flexible to the acceptance and the growth that you both can share with each other. Um, One specific example of how I plan to provide support to the president and to the rest of the board is to start off with in the first couple of weeks of just if I were to be on board, is to have those individual conversations with everyone on board and to figure out like um, how do you like to receive support? What does that look like for you? How can I go and help you? And also establishing kind of boundaries where like please like let me know like when your support means like maybe giving you space or whatever it is, just establishing those boundaries between you two and understanding where you can come from in that. um, and then one time I have an example of time I've received support, I think is really highlighted by just being in UFC in general. I came into UFC as a sophomore, beginning of my sophomore year, and was really pushed into this community feeling like I was going to be an outsider, just being afraid. And I've learned that over my time here in UFC, like the people are around me have really cared, and it doesn't matter who you are, what your background is, what your morals are, like whatever it is, people in this community have really been accepting to me, and I'm super grateful for that, and which is why I want to be VP as well. Thank you.
I can go next. So to me, support really means providing a safe space for people and addressing their needs individually. To support my future officer board and general members, I really just want to serve as a good listener and exercise compassion, because I feel like with those two things, I'll be able to understand people's kind of struggles better, and we can develop a course of action from there. And a time that I recently received support was actually earlier in winter quarter when I was going through some like pretty traumatic experiences. And during that time, I was able to like talk to Liza during one of our one-on-ones, and she really showed me like compassion and like when I confessed my or when I talked about my capacity. And so to receive that support was really nice, and I knew like from there like I wanted to give others the same.
Okay, so support to me looks like being able to actively check in on people even if they don't ask for it. This kind of looks like not directly asking them, oh, hey, are you okay? But maybe just in the form of a small conversation, asking like, hey, what do you have going on this week? Do you want to hang out with me this week? That type of thing. A time that I have received support has been from this year's officer board. Working as PR has been kind of difficult to balance with my workload. And so being transparent with the board was really important. And they were also very supportive of like helping me out with doing their own PR or like being supportive in the ways that they helped me post onto the Instagram and make Instagram stories for me when I needed the little extra help. Specific examples of how I plan on providing this support would be just like how Lindsey said, we do check-ins with the officers every quarter. I like that in the beginning of the year, Michelle and Liza made sure to ask us how we like to receive support and what support looks like to us. I also think that being able able to look out for signs of stress on your officers is really important. I know personally, like I have a hard time asking for help. And so when someone is able to figure out that, oh, maybe she's a little stressed, like she said that she has a lot going on, that means that I should offer my support to them. That kind of thing I think is really important, and being able to watch out for that on the other officers. And especially during this new year, things are very uncertain. So I think even more so pushing the checking in on them, like maybe since we're online, we're going to check in on them more than once a quarter just to see if there are other ways that they need to be supported. Yeah.
Thank you. So moving on to the next question, it comes from one of our general members. Given that there is a lot of flexibility and open space in the position, how do you wish to expand the role of VP beyond a supporting role, and how do you plan to implement these goals? And I'll send it in the chat as well.
I think one of the primary themes and goals that I have for this position is really creating a safe place for everyone, regardless of your cultural background, your personal identities, or how you define yourself. And so, with creating the safe place, I want to also create an environment where not only the board, but also UFC is thought of to be as a dependable community. And so that does not only mean that the board is viewed as dependable, or that I myself as a potential VP could be dependable, but it's really having our general members understand or feel that as a community as a whole that we are, that they can depend on us for their own personal needs. And whether that be depending on us to welcome them, that could be depending on us to be there for them, depending on us to be an accepted figure in their lives, or just being dependable and a place to provide them the ability to explore and dive deep into who they are. And so with that, I would want to expand on the supportive role and create events where we're able to kind of sit down and just talk about what makes all of us unique individuals, which is not only reflecting on our own personal histories, but also reflecting on what's currently happening in our own lives, and trying to talk to each other about the struggles we may be having, the way we're overcoming those struggles, and who we want to be in the future. And for me, especially being in UFC, it's really helped me grow into the person that I am. And that is something that I want to advocate for through the possible events, and just creating that dependable and safe environment for all of our members currently, and for possible future members as well.
Okay, so something that I really want to see from our club next year is just more community outreach to the other Seattle organizations. This would probably involve working more closely with other officers like the Community Service Chair and SJPE. I really liked Kayla's activity at the beginning of this year, where she collaborated with the high school students to do a little essay writing workshop. And just being able to see those types of events continue on, I think is something I really would like to do. This also just involves being in contact with other PhilAm orgs. So like NAFCON I'm in contact with, and being able to utilize our gen members who I know are part of like Anik Bayan, and getting in contact with them and seeing how we can be resources for those other orgs.
So for me, I have kind of two big goals that I would like to reach in this position, given that it's so flexible. And one would be to really strengthen our alumni network. So I know for juniors and seniors, like some of the events that we put on can kind of maybe get kind of old, or like they might feel like there are not many new opportunities for them. So kind of starting like a CAP-like program for juniors and seniors and connect them with mentors in their respective fields, I feel like would be a great way to kind of bridge the gap between Filipino American professionals in Seattle, along with alumni, and kind of the upperclassmen in our organization. And my second goal would to be to play more of a slightly bigger role, in Barrio, because at times people did express that there was seemed like there would be kind of a disconnect between like the Barrio committee, the officer board, and the general members. And so just by like offering that kind of support and serving as that kind of communication link when needed, or basically when needed, and just kind of like having that larger role and being available to the Barrio chairs I think is really important, just so we have that kind of like foundation of support and communication across every member of UFC.
All right, final question, another one from our general members. A part of being vice president is understanding the different leadership capabilities of your officer board. Tell us a time where you successfully led a diverse group of people. Sorry, I kind of butchered it, but I'll send it in the chat, but I can repeat it if you want.
I can go. So this year, in addition to serving as UFC's community service chair, I was also the president of the health and wellness crew. And in that role, I was able to work with students from all across campus who had kind of different, like varying interests and personal identities. And so I feel like in that organization, I was really able to like learn other people's leadership styles and kind of assess like how I communicate with them in order to get things done correctly and efficiently. So really just understanding how people work best and kind of setting those guidelines and parameters from the beginning of the year, that will ultimately make kind of your transition as a successful board way more efficient and smooth, I think.
I can go next. I work with undergraduate admissions as a Red Hawk ambassador, aka a tour guide. And so just working with admissions and that specific community, that has really tested my leadership and the way I approach different situations. And also it has allowed me to learn about the various other leadership styles that people possess as well. Just working at admissions, you're constantly meeting new people, working with different people. We host events every single year, which would be things like fall preview day or like admitted students day. And through all of those various events that I've helped and worked on, I've learned from them that one, there's no really necessarily one right way to be a leader, and there's no right way to communicate either. Really, everyone is looking for something different, and because everyone is different, and it's understanding that because each person has their unique viewpoints, they're looking for something different, they're seeking something different. It's being able to adapt to the diverse group of people and other leaders that you're working with. So I think being adaptable is really a key in working with diverse people, and just understanding that the way you do something is going to be completely different than someone else. And so definitely just being in admissions, being a tour guide, and just working with a ton of different people and being not a representative for our school as well. I've learned that to be a successful leader is to also just be a listener too. And so I think that adaptability, the understanding to individualize your care and consideration for everyone and understand that people are different, I think those are really the keys in working with a diverse group of leaders.
Okay, an example that I have successfully led a diverse group of leaders, sorry. The past summers, I have worked at my high school's legacy camp, which is like their leadership camp they hold for students that are in student council and student government. And I was a facilitator, and I led a group of high school students, and they all have various leadership styles. There would be like freshmen to seniors in every group. And so I learned to work with people who don't even know what their own leadership styles are, and that they're still trying to figure out how they like to communicate with others, and they don't know how to find the confidence to step up yet. But I've also worked with students that have already figured out how to like step up and be outspoken. And so being able to utilize the different students and like their own strengths and using them to help each other out and kind of facilitating conversation between them and making sure that someone with more leadership experience isn't overstepping someone that doesn't have any recent experience but really wants to learn is very important. So I think that overall, when you're working with a diverse group of leaders, you really need to understand the perspectives they're coming from and what level of experience that they have. And so being able to establish this from the very beginning of the year is important, so that during the year, we can be very like open with each other and just keep a line of communication throughout the quarter or throughout the year so that we can avoid conflict as much as possible.
Alrighty, y'all. That concludes our vice president portion.